Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is John Day. I'm excited to host this panel. We will be discussing partnership versus ownership. In this case study, we will explore how upcycling can extend the life of products, particularly an existing sweater in this case, and where garments get a second life through attaching a digital care label provided by Avery Dennison. On the panel with me is Rob and Scott, but before we get into introductions, let's watch a quick video.
But up west, comfort is first and foremost, but right beside it is sustainability. We had been reading about upcycling, but nobody had really done it at scale. So what we wanted to do was find the right partners that could help us bring this to life.
The mission of Recircle is to help fashion brands become circular. We reimagine garments, footwear, and accessory. It's about giving new life to items without having to produce new. So we looked at inventory and we identified items that we thought we could turn into something new and interesting.
It allowed us internally to really think through what are the types of products that make sense for our customers. We landed on making a blanket, mittens, and a dog sweater. Part of our responsibility as a brand is bringing our consumers along for the journey. And we recognize the importance of meeting our customers in the digital space. What was really nice with Avery Dennison was that there was a platform that we could really leverage that would allow us to tell our story to the consumers, not only to bring even more awareness to our brand, but also to share the insights of what we're doing and the progress that we're making within sustainability. By leveraging the digital platform and the technology allows our customers to see how it went from being a sweater to being transformed, but also understand how they best care for their garments.
Technology is driving the circular economy. And with the help of Avery Dennison, who are mastering the digital code, that's helping us on the back end identify what the content is, what the care is, so that we can upcycle and then eventually recycle all the footwear and fashion that's being produced.
At Up West, we recognize the strength of collaboration, and we really see a bright future in partnering with Avery Dennison and Recircle in helping bring more ideas in sustainability and comfort to life.
So, as I mentioned, we will be talking about partnership versus ownership. We're really going to get into kind of a little bit of the background of how Up West identified Recircled as a partner. We're going to understand what the problem was, what the hypothesis was, and then talk about the solution and what some key takeaways were. If we have time, we'll take some questions and hopefully provide some answers. I know these guys well, and we could probably spend a couple days talking about this topic. We have limited time, so we will try and touch everything if we can. So real quick, Rob, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
What's up? What's up? First, thank you everyone for spending some time with us today and appreciate the opportunity. As John said, my name is Rob Smith. I am currently serving as the Director of Production and Sourcing at Up West. Again, thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Thanks, Rob. Scott, can you tell us a little bit about yourself too?
Yeah, I'm Scott Coleman. Have 30 years of new apparel production experience, and just recently became founder and CEO of Recircled. Trying to pivot into this circular economy, and building the facilities and processes that enable it.
Awesome, thanks, Scott. Yeah, and you're joining us from Italy today, so you touch things globally. I love it. And obviously, I'm John Day. I work for Avery Dennison. I'm our global market development manager for sustainability and digital solutions. Rob, can you tell us a little? I'm sorry, Rob. This is for you right here. So, can you kind of walk us through your journey, and then we're going to touch a little bit on the companies, but just introduce the case to us.
Absolutely. So one of the things about us as a brand, and obviously we want to talk a little bit about who we are as a brand, we have recognized that there was a great opportunity to kind of really think about what upcycling would look like through the lens of our brand filter. So in doing some research, we stumbled across some of the amazing work that Scott and his team were doing. Reached out, made a connection, and Scott is somebody that will excite you about the possibilities. So, and leaning into learning a little bit more about what he was doing and the team, I took that back to our team internally and had some conversations, and we wanted to see what it would look like to really scale upcycling. So we helped to identify some existing inventory that we had that could really be used for this project. And then we pushed ourselves to tell the story, right? So John, as you know, but to share with others, we have been having conversations for about a year now on thinking about some of the different technologies and innovations that you guys had, and thought that this was the perfect opportunity to connect, the things that we were talking about with you from the digital triggers, and leveraging the things that we were learning about from Scott with upcycling, and really kind of bring it all together to do something really cool, but also create an opportunity to tell others about it, and bring our consumers along for the journey to hopefully entice them on what extending the life of a garment could look like.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Before we dive into the case, Rob, could you tell us a little bit about UpWest?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure. So UpWest is a DTC brand. We were founded in 2019. We a purpose-driven brand with the singular purpose of providing comfort, and we provide comfort from mind, body, and spirit. But what stands right beside comfort for us is sustainability. So we want to be good partners, and we want to positively impact not only the planet, but people as well. And we do this through a consciousness of all the choices that we make. So for us, we're taking a community building approach where we're connecting our consumers through experiential events and direct-to-consumer digital experiences. So it's been a fun journey. We are out to try to do something a little bit differently. And it's been an amazing ride so far.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. And hey, Scott, can you tell us a little bit about Recircle?
Yeah, so we founded Recircle basically to help. What we all need to happen is to have apparel and footwear become circular. And so we knew to do that, we had to have technology, we had to have processes, and we had to have facilities. So the first thing we embarked on is we built technology and have a complete circular technology stack for that. In addition, we've got a process for the way that we see both pre-consumer and post-consumer items that cannot be sold as new, on what happens with it. And now we're building facilities. We've got a giant facility in the United States at 800,000 square feet. Here in central Italy, in Tuscany, we have a 100,000 square foot facility where we're handling everything from what we've partnered with Rob and UpWest with reimagining items to recycling items to just everything that needs to be done to ensure that nothing goes to landfill and nothing's incinerated.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Robbie. And I've had the pleasure of visiting that facility here in the United States, and it is something else. And the three of us got together there, and it is definitely spectacular. And there are good things to come from you guys. So looking forward to what the future holds. Just a little background about Avery Dennison. If you were on the previous session, you heard Debbie Shakespeare. She talked a little bit about our digital journey and consumer engagements. But Avery's been around for 80 years, and we've been a global leader in providing physical labeling, while also integrating digital solutions that enable brands and retailers to address challenges and opportunities from source to store and onto consumer engagement. Sustainability is our core value. It's in our DNA. It is built into our product design, our operations, our culture, and is a part of every decision that we make. Actively driving digital innovation is in both product and process-driven operations in order to serve the evolving needs of our customers while advancing the circular economy and being a force for good. And these are some of the principles that we stand on. So one of the things I want to talk about, and we're going to touch on 5 key takeaways here. And the first takeaway from this opportunity for partnership was, it's important to have a chosen partnerships that need to work towards a common goal, which they all already own. With that common goal identified, we recognize that to affect change, it must be done in collaboration. So let's get into understanding what the problem is. And Rob, can you tee us off here?
Absolutely. So, I wouldn't be myself if I didn't bring attention to the shoes that I have on in this picture. These are some amazing, comfortable New Balances. Pot of New Balances, by the way. So the problem for us was really, really cool because it was an opportunity for us to just play around. And, and one of the things in having the conversation with Scott, we were able to really lean in to a lot of the expertise of what him and his team have been doing over the course of the years with a lot of different partners. Early on, Scott was very open in sharing some of the ahas and learnings for him, which really allowed us to think creatively about the things that we were trying to do. So as you kind of see on the slides here, we have a principal value of sustainability and also looking at comfort. So what we had did, once we've identified the inventory, which was a sweater, a chenille sweater that we had ran at launch in 3 colors, we really wanted to figure out, okay, what does upcycling look like through this product? But also the unique challenge was, how do we create something that also brought value to what our consumers would see as well? So it wasn't just, let's take something and make something new of it. It was a great opportunity of creating something and making something that we also knew our consumers would respond to, while also telling them the story of, once you're done with something, let's challenge the social norms of what getting rid of something looks like. So for us, it was an amazing opportunity. Again, I continue to want to say that Scott and his team were great thought partners in, what were the possibilities. So it was truly a collaboration from the very beginning of, hey, we have this product. After reading all the amazing things you guys are doing, we know what our brand filter and our brand edit is, and how do we now leverage the things that you guys are doing? So really the problem was really empowering, because we were starting with nothing but upside from the very beginning.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. And I'm going to stick with you as we kind of walk through the takeaway number 2. Can you expand on that a tad bit?
Yep. So here it says, own the opportunities facing your business, but find partners who help find solutions to these opportunities. So I think this is such a powerful statement. Far too often it's believed that you have to be the person to identify the problem and come up with a solution. And one of the things that my father taught me early on in life was, finding the problem sometimes is easy, but offering up a solution is challenging. It requires work. So the work for us was really, we're a retail brand. We know what we do well in identifying and engaging our customers. But to really address this problem, we need to find the subject matter experts in this space that could truly teach us and carry us along the way so that we can be mutually beneficial in this opportunity. So that requires work. That requires building relationships and cultivating relationships. And like I said, for me, I am a relationship-based person. So in doing the research, understanding what our opportunity was, in identifying Scott as a partner, obviously, John, the work that we had did early on and kind of understanding the innovations of what you guys were doing from digital triggers, it just became very easy. It's one of those things where I know it was work because I was doing it during, traditional hours, but it didn't feel like work. Like, coming out of this opportunity, I met 2 guys that I know for a long time I'm gonna be associated and connected with, because there's mutual interest, but also we've been able to do some pretty cool things together.
Yeah, and I'll echo that sentiment. Like I kind of mentioned before, Rob, getting the opportunity to meet and work with both you and Scott, again, just kind of solidified that common goal, not only from a business standpoint, but also personally. And I think that was one of those key areas that really kind of drove this partnership home. So we are going to kind of dive into some of the hypotheses here. And Scott, I'm firing this first one at you because you received these sweaters, and the question was, could these sweaters be made into other garments?
Yeah, great challenge, right? So that's the whole beauty of this. There's we're making, recycling and upcycling sexy, and that, what a creative thing to have happen. And then Rob gave us this challenge. We accepted the challenge and said, we're going to figure it out. And I think we threw 4 or 5 or 6, 7 ideas over to Rob, and Rob threw 3 or 4 back at us, and we went back and forth, and several times, and after a short period of time, landed on these 3 items that were not only that we could execute, but we could also use most of the product. And I think we wound up using 97, 98% of the product within these new products we produced. And it was just a tremendous collaboration. Everybody understood what the problem was, and then how to solve it. It really wasn't even a problem. It was just had to find a solution. And we couldn't have done that on our own. We needed Rob and his team, and what you are doing, John, with Avery Dennison, the digital triggers with it. It all came together.
Yeah, I love it, Scott. I think we're starting to frame up, right, the importance of each one of our ownerships, and then the collaboration and partnership needed to really drive it over the finish line. Hey, Rob, could you kind of share with us about, the potential and the opportunity to share this story with consumers?
Absolutely. One of the things that I would like to echo, that we've been talking about is this idea of road clarity, right? So again, I know when people often say stay in your lane, it kind of has a negative connotation, but really, if you understand the role that you're playing, you can maximize that and lean into these relationships. So for us, we're a retailer. So at the end of the day, everything that we do is through the lens of our consumer. How are we bringing our consumers along for the journey and helping them understand why our products bring value to their life? And we knew that in order for this project to be successful, we had to bring our consumers along for the journey, not only from a traditional business standpoint, from a selling standpoint, but there was also a great, powerful opportunity for education. One of the things that Scott shared with me very early on was just understanding the difference between recycling and upcycling. And while, for somebody that, went to NC State, studied textile chemistry, and thought I was very familiar with these terms, I realized there was a lot for me to learn. So if I was somebody that was well studied in this space, I could only imagine what the average consumer may think about. And I bring it to a very simple way. I have a 12-year-old son, and one of the things a mentor told me a long time ago is you can't explain what you're doing at the dinner table. You're over-explaining it, right? So I was talking with him about the project, and I was able to use the example of, my wife works for the EPA. So we are a family that recycles. So it was one of these opportunities of trying to educate the difference between recycling and upcycling. And that, in its own moment at a dinner table conversation, just reaffirmed for me the importance of making sure that people understood that there's a unique difference here. And again, I keep going to Scott because he truly is the GOAT of this thing, greatest of all time. He shared he's like, we can upcycle anything. Like, Scott is not afraid to take on a challenge. So for me, that just excited me. And I knew if we did this the right way, we could help our consumers understand the power of this thing and how you could really start to change this narrative around what does fashion look like through this lens of sustainability.
Rob, first of all, I love that story that you tell with, about your boy at the dinner table. And I think, right, if we're trying to explain it, we probably need some help there. And the other thing that I think you called out that was really interesting is, right, that idea of ownership, right, and really understanding your role in the process, and leaning on Scott for his expertise. And I too, Rob, learned a lot from from Scott when I went out to visit him, and it awesome to be able to learn from one another. And then I think from an Avery perspective, where it got really interesting for us and our role in the process is not only how can we help you, Rob, as a brand and Up West to tell that story, but then also how can we provide traceability of that garment, not only from its inception, right, but looking, future state when it, potentially comes back to Scott, and really thinking forward of how we could in the future, look at the true traceability of garments. So understanding that consumer engagement, consumer education is important, but really when we're talking about circularity, it's providing that information. It's giving the consumer an idea of what to do with it.
Mhm.
And then second, providing Scott the information that he needs to imagine that second life for either the material or for the garment. And so that's to me where it gets really exciting.
And you think about that, John, all that stuff exists today. And together, the three of us we put it all together. We didn't reinvent anything. It was all right there, right in front of our faces, and we put it all together, and it's the future.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's that collaboration that allows these things to happen. Scott, can you just touch a little bit on takeaway 3 and around transparency and the importance of it?
Yeah, no doubt. Transparency is one of the keys to all of circularity. We've got to get the customer and the consumer, and Rob's been talking a lot about that, that they're experts at engaging their customer, and they are. And now we know that customer is saying, okay, hey, bravo, you're joining this crowd, you're doing the right thing. Now show us. And so this whole idea of traceability, it's like schoolwork. It's like, going to math, and, you may get to the answer in the end, but the teacher wants to see the work in between. And this is what's going on. And consumers are very smart today. And so we've got to create this traceability all along the way. And, you at Avery Dennison have proven that the technology exists. We can do it. We all just have to agree on what it is, how we do it, how it's attached, what's done with it. And then, simple QR codes, been around for a long, long time, and let's just use them the right way. And again, as we've been talking, tell the story with it, show the story, demonstrate it. And the consumer, they'll react. They want that. We know that.
Yeah. So true. So we're going to dive a little bit in here to kind of what the outcome was, what the solution was. And Rob, if you don't mind kind of sharing with us a little bit of what you found from it, what was the end result, because I think it's pretty cool and exciting. We saw a little bit of it in the video, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. So I'll lead by saying the solution was, with intentionality, all things are possible, right? So with focus and intention, we were able to convert a chenille sweater in 3 colors to 3 new products that are just as amazing. And had we not shared with everybody what it used to be, I don't know if anybody would have known that, it started off as something else. We also have incorporated leveraging the Avery Dennison technology to be able to tell the story. So now if you receive one of these products and you scan it, it'll take you to upwest.com/upcycle, where you'll be able to learn a little bit more. And once these products are available for sale, it will also connect you to the PDP page, where you'll be able to see the care and content. So again, that full transparency piece. And I think it's also important for us to also share that it's progress, not perfection. So I don't want to sit here and give this perception that as a brand, we're trying to stand on this platform of saying that we're experts in this. We're not. We're on this journey of discovery. We're on this journey of learning. So what it also allows us to do is bring our consumers along for this journey. So again, at any given point, as we're having aha moments, we have the ability to share back some of those insights and learnings with others.
Yeah, Rob, that's a great point, right? Is that, we have our core competency, each one of us in our own kind of areas. And, in this, and we own that, right? But in the partnership aspect, we get to lean on one another and rest on their expertise. And so I think it's fundamental for collaboration and partnership to work. I wanted to see if Scott, that last point there, when it comes to garment end of life, would you mind touching on that a little bit? And how the Avery digital care label kind of helped you out?
Yeah, so you can just imagine that between upcycling and recycling, obviously we try with everything, and everything we work on, if it's already been made, let's use it if we can, or reuse it and upcycle it. But there is a lot of stuff that has to be recycled. And so it's like anything, the more information you have to begin with, care and content, yarn count, dyes used, all that kind of stuff, that we all know, that information was compiled at some point in time as that product was being made. Just put it on a digital trigger for us. So now we can make decisions very quickly moving forward with it. Because, the difference between just scanning a QR code and having all the information right there for us versus us staring at it and looking at it and touching and feeling and trying to figure out what it is, big difference. And it'll just make a much better, pure process for everybody. So at that time when these chenille mittens need to be recycled, which they will someday, if we, we'll know the content of it and we'll know exactly what to do with it. We'll have a solution with it. It'll be very fast. It'll create a pure process for the recycling too. We won't throw this in with the 100% cotton, to recycle it. Which is just a better recycling stream for everybody. So it's like everything, think the auto industry, on all their parts, they've got serial numbers and you can look them up and, see what they all are. And so it's just basically that's what we need to do, is to create this digital, footprint and serial number for everybody along the way. And I think we're the first step in this second life, call it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Scott. Right. And that's one of the fantastic things. And what I get to do is to be able to work with brands and second life imaginers like yourself to really, through that digital trigger and that data platform that we have at Avery is to really collect those touch points. And those are the touch points that are so important, not only for a brand to understand the data analytics, but also then for that consumer education and that consumer experience that Rob touched on. And then that information that you need, Scott, as you look to either recycle, reimagine, or reuse a garment, or I'm sorry, second life, resell a garment. And those are the things that are so key. And again, the importance of collaboration. So I'm going to ask both of you guys, kind of what is your takeaway? What are some of the thoughts that you could share with all of those that are listening into this panel? And Scott, I'm going to shoot with you first. And then Rob, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Well, John and Rob, what I'm so impressed with is that it seems like this whole circular process, the hard part is starting for everyone. And, the cool thing with happened with this is, as Rob just said, they're not perfect. He's learning a lot. We're not perfect, but we jumped in and we did it. We went for it, just to see what could happen. And the result was pretty good. I don't know if it's perfect or not, but, at least it was a start. We started. Now we're talking about next projects and what can we do next and what's next and what's next. And you can't get to what's next if you don't start. And so that's where, let's not wait around for the magic pill. Let's get started. We've got a lot of tools at our fingertips. We all do. We all have our swim lanes. We have our core competencies, and let's combine them and make some magic happen.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. And Rob, any kind of takeaways?
Yeah, so I know, just pop to the next slide real fast, John. I think really the big idea here is just really for us is to get to a place that we're designing with this in mind, right? So where I'm looking forward to, and my design partner are actually on this trip right now working on some products for next fall, is we're starting to challenge ourselves, like how do we design and create product with this in mind? So that's the great opportunity for us. That's the challenge that we're taking on is, while I appreciate this opportunity, and to Scott's point, just starting was amazing, but really now it's at the place of how do we be proactive as opposed to reactive.
Amen.
Awesome. So, and I'll say, just kind of in conclusion here, and I have one key takeaway or one other takeaway that I want to touch on, and it's going to be for Rob. I know we're getting to time, but the strength in collaboration, right? And to Scott's point, there has to be action taken, right? And Most importantly, it should be done in collaboration because we can lean on one another's strengths. Before we can conclude, Scott, could you touch on how important it is to design for circularity? And this is going to be the wrap up, right? Is that, you get to see garments after they've been designed. And if you could just touch on that for a little bit from a recycler perspective. Or
Yeah, well, early on when we founded Recircle, one of the key discussion points was cost. Man, this is so expensive, and it can be really expensive, be circular. But if we start with the end in mind, we're not going to have anything go to the landfill. We haven't designed anything yet, so let's be thoughtful. Just as Rob said, he's already thinking about with his new designs, what's going to happen after the first consumer is done with it. What's going to happen? We're going to upcycle it. We're going to recycle it. We're going to reimagine it into something new. If we ask and answer all of those things ahead of time, we're just going to be that much further ahead. We may not have all the answers to it, while we're doing it, but if you're thinking circular before you even produce it, the results are probably going to be better. If you don't put any thought into it, if you don't care about it, then the results probably aren't going to be so good. So that's where it's just the thought process. I don't know if anybody's perfected it yet. Maybe we'll never will. Maybe we can just strive for it. But at least if we're putting the thought into it, it's critically important.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. So in conclusion, real quick, 5 key takeaways, right? Choose a partnership or chosen partnerships need to work towards a common goal. Own the opportunities facing your business. Transparency isn't just for consumers. There is strength in collaboration and design with circularity in mind. I know we didn't get to questions. I'm sorry, but again, we could talk with these guys or I could talk with these guys for the next 3 hours. So thank you for joining our session. Rob, Scott, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.